My name is Austin, and I'm here with the OHS media team, and we are doing our fall sports preview. And first off, we have Cassidy Willard interviewing Mr. Kufal, the head junior high football coach.
I'm Cassidy Willard, and I'm here with Coach Kufal, the head junior high football coach here at Onega. So, Coach, how's practice going?
Practice is going well. We've had a couple weeks of practice so far. We have 5 more before our first game, and we've got a lot of young kids. We have 11 out this year. Only one of them is an 8th grader, so we've got a lot of youth on our team. So practice has been pretty basic. We've tried to keep it pretty simple, teach them the fundamentals of the game, fundamentals of our offense, what to expect game one. Our kids have played a lot of flag football but never played contact football before, so practice has been, like I said, pretty basic, but it's gone well. They're learning a lot. They're willing to learn, which is always good. They're working hard, so that makes our lives a lot easier. So as of now, it's going well. I guess we'll find out exactly how well it's been going when we get to our first game. So,
what can we expect out of this season?
Well, like I said, we have a lot of youth, so we want to see our kids develop. We're really trying to turn our junior high program into an extension of the high school program. So we're trying to do a lot of things that the high school team is doing. We want it to become a 6-year football program rather than a 2-year junior high program and then starting over for your 4-year high school career. We really want it to be something that you start in 7th grade and it's developing you through 6 years. And it's all the same concept, same terminology. So we're hoping that over the course of the season our kids are going to learn what Onega football is all about, what they can expect at the next level. And we want them to really, like I said, enjoy the game and really develop a love for not just football in general, but for Onega football as well, because that means a lot to us and it should mean a lot to them as well. So hopefully at the end of the season, we can hang our hats on that, no matter what we're looking at wins and losses wise.
How long have you been coaching?
Junior high football, I've been coaching for 2 years. Last year was my first year. I was the head football coach at Onega, but we were in a cooperative with St. Peter and Paul, so we went and played up there last year. So essentially I was an assistant coach up there for St. Peter and Paul. Had a good season, that was great. I've coached baseball before for about 5-6 seasons before I started doing junior high football. Coached some flag football when I was in high school, so off and on for a lot of years doing different things, but for junior high football specifically, last year was my first year. So,
what drove you to become a coach?
I love working with kids, love sports. I want to see them develop. Onega is very important to me, so I've always been drawn to the idea of being able to contribute to the school, to the kids in our community, to help develop them and make them the best they can possibly be, not only as individuals, as athletes, but also, like I said, as part of our great town and great school that we have here. So that's kind of what drove me to starting coaching in the first place with baseball, was hoping to develop them in that sport, and that's kind of continued here in the junior high football level as well.
There's been a lot of talk nationally about what age boys should be able to start football. So what is your opinion on youth football?
I'm a big fan of flag football. When they're younger, that starts to give them the concepts, the ideas of what football is about without the contact. I'm pretty torn on the contact idea before the age of 7th grade. We have a couple kids on our team that have played some contact football before. It certainly helps them in a lot of ways. They get to that level at 7th grade and they're used to the contact, they're used to those ideas, they're not scared to be hit or to hit other people, which is always good. That's the biggest hurdle to get over with 7th graders. So there is some advantages in that regard. They get to see how an offense works. Obviously, your flag football offenses are going to be different than your 11-man or 8-man contact football. So there are some advantages in that regard. But, the biggest disadvantage is the safety of it. I just don't think kids are developed enough physically to handle those type of hits that they're going to get. And I know some leagues take precautions in that regard to not let bigger kids hit smaller kids, that sort of thing. But still, I just don't think kids are ready for that sort of contact until they get to the junior high level. I believe when they get to 7th grade, they're ready for that. Anything you can do non-contact wise before that is great. Start them as young as you can. But as far as the contact part of it, I think it's okay to wait until they get to junior high.
Thank you, Coach, and I hope you have a great season.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cassidy, for that interview. Next off, we have myself, and I will be interviewing Mrs. Souther, the head junior high volleyball coach. My name is Austin Kreitzer, and I'm with the Onega High School media team, and here with me is Mrs. Souther, the junior high volleyball coach. And I'm going to ask her some questions just to gain some insight on what we can expect from this year's season. First off, how's the team shaping up, and how are practices going?
You know, it's been a good beginning. We started practice there on Monday, on the 15th, and I've got 19 girls out right now, and basically the team's coming along well. We've had good practices. The girls have worked hard. Very pleased. We scrimmaged yesterday a little more than usual, and they all went very good.
It's great. And for some of us that aren't coaches, what are your responsibilities as a coach?
You know, been at this a little while, and I think part of it is you need to be able to be organized. You need to have your practices set up so that kids are engaged throughout the entire practice time, that you utilize every minute possible to work on those skills that they need for the sport. Along with that, that also includes being able to make sure that you are organized in regards to equipment, you checking in equipment, taking out equipment. Be sure that the kids are informed on schedules, what time, departure times, return times, and not just the athletes, but also their parents. And I think that's an important role, especially at the junior high level, where our athletes are more dependent on parents for transportation. And so little things like that do make a difference to the athletes and to the presentation of the school itself.
And with that being said, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses as a coach?
Well, you know, Austin, I have no weaknesses. That's not right. Everybody has weaknesses, you know. I hope my strength is that I'm organized, I know the basic skills needed for each particular sport, and that I can bring that into the field of play, and that I can understand, just like in the classroom, there are different levels of learning, there are also different levels of skill. To be sure that those students that aren't quite maybe as athletically inclined can still gain knowledge and still enjoy whatever that activity is. And I think that's a very valid point for any coach.
And what can we expect from the team this season?
You know, this team this season, I expect this team to be playing in the finals at the OTL tournament. They've come a long ways. They've got good energy in regards to working together as a team. They have their skills that come along well. That's my ultimate goal, and that's the ultimate goal of any sport, is you want to be in that championship bracket. But on the other side of that, we want to make sure that kids enjoy the sport, they have learned the skills, and that they're ready to go on into the next level, which from my level would be participating in the high school. And I think that's a big portion of trying to get the kids solid enough that they are ready to go into that sport when they enter into high school. Or my 7th graders as they come up as 8th graders to continue that sport.
Well, I appreciate your time. That concludes our interview, and have a nice season.
Thank you, Austin.
Wow, that was a great interview. Next off, we have Ian interviewing Coach Miller, the head high school cross-country coach.
Hello, my name is Ian Height, and I'm here with Jeff Miller, the high school cross-country coach. How many people is required to make a cross-country team?
With 1A, 4 count for points, but 7 are on a team, on a varsity team.
Okay. How many runners do you have this year? Like boys and girls all together?
We have 11 runners, 7 boys and 4 girls.
Okay. How have practices been going?
Good. Several of the kids ran during the summer. They're getting better about doing that, so they're going really well.
How far do the runners usually run during practice?
On distance days, they usually run 4 miles. We have a dead week where they do run 5 or 6.
Okay. And how far do they run during a meet?
It's a 5K. It's 3.2 miles.
Okay. And looking into the season, who would you say are your best runners?
Probably our best runner is laid up right now with a broken tibia. He may or may not be back at the end of the year. Other than that, right now, according to how practices have been going, Belinda Ames and Blake.
Well, thank you for your time. We will. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ian, for that interview. Next off, we have Eli interviewing Mrs. Sperber, the head high school volleyball coach.
Hi, I'm Eli Green. I'm here with the OHS media class, and here with me is Mrs. Sperber, our high school volleyball coach, and today we'll be interviewing her. So, Mrs. Sperber, how is the team doing?
So far, so good. We're bonding as a team and we're getting better and stronger, so
That's good.
really good so far.
In your opinion, are the practices actually going well?
Yeah, I'm seeing lots of improvement and some girls are stepping up, which is awesome. They're working hard.
That's good. So, what type of practices have you been doing?
We start out with a bunch of skills, like skill type drills, and then we move more to, we do some conditioning and some workouts, and then we do scrimmages at the end.
What are you expecting out of this season's teams?
A winning season. I think we could do really well this season and be at the top as long as we play as hard as we can.
So, how do you plan to improve the teams over the next few weeks?
Continue to do practices the way we're running them and continue to push them as hard as I possibly can.
So, do you have any role models as a coach?
I do. In high school, I had a basketball coach. His name was Jim Turner, and I really looked up to him because he coached us as we were his players, but also as he really cared about us, and that's kind of where I'm going as a coach.
All right. Thank you for your time, and I hope you have a great season.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eli, for that interview. Next off, we have Brandon interviewing Mr. Callaway, the head football high school coach.
Hi, this is Brandon Merriman, and I'm here with Coach Callaway, the head football coach at Onega High School, and we're going to talk about the football team this year. So, what kind of practice techniques have you been working on?
One thing I've been trying to emphasize, and when I say me, I really should say we, myself, Coach Fisher, and Coach Lamar, is really practicing with more energy. Something I thought last year, and Coach Fisher was there too, we kind of dragged on a lot of things, and we were slow on a lot of it. And we did some of that because of numbers. In the end, we think we played that way, so we're wanting to push, tempo in practice. We're not going to be the next Oregon Duck offense, obviously, but we're wanting to move a lot faster through practice, just to help speed us up and get us used to playing faster, in which in turn hopefully will result in once we get on the field, us moving quicker and things moving faster for us.
So with that, how do you feel like the team will do this year?
I think we have potential to be a pretty solid team. A lot of things have to play right. We're low on numbers, 16 guys with one being hurt right now. We can't afford anybody to get hurt. But we're solid in a lot of areas. There's also going to be, we have to have some young guys that will step up and take a bigger role than maybe we thought heading out of the spring with some injuries and some different situations that happened. But to me that's also encouraging because that will only pay dividends for us, going into the future from here on out.
So, that being said, with your numbers, do you feel like that's your biggest weakness?
I do feel that's the biggest weakness right now. We do have some positions that we are watching and hoping that we can get some maybe quicker growth out of. But them are young guys, and anytime you're starting to rely on freshmen and sophomores, there's going to be growing pains. But that's the situation we're in right now with the numbers we're at. So we'll be all right. Weakness-wise, we're still, as a team, are going to be the fastest team most of the time. And so we got to do little things right correctly as far as technique of getting off the ball, can't afford turnovers and things like that to make up for a lack of speed.
So what kind of challenge do you think will be your biggest?
We play a tough schedule. Our district, depending on various preseason rankings, and I don't take a lot in preseason rankings, but there's as many as 4 teams in our district alone that are either ranked or kind of in consideration to be ranked in preseason. And, preseason's, there's a lot of misinformation. Teams change from year to year, and it's based off the year before. So, take that for what it's worth. But we play a tough schedule, and that's going to be the challenge is every week, for the most part, we play a team that's going to challenge us. There's no off weeks. But that's also not a bad thing. And anytime you're in the Twin Valley League, any sport, it's a tough challenge.
So you talked about last year earlier in the interview. What do you think you could have done different last year?
Looking back in hindsight, they say is always 20/20, and I've talked with Coach Kite and we've talked with Coach Fisher and stuff. A lot of there's different things we could have changed, but in the end, you look back and always say, well, we could have done this, we could have done that, and it would have maybe worked out better. We don't know. Let's say the biggest thing is we want to practice and play with more enthusiasm and more energy, and we were just kind of dragged along last year, and there was things that caused that. We had a lot of injuries. We had several guys that missed a game or two here and there. And anytime you start having changes in a lineup, you don't have that same connection as a team and everything. But for the most part, we're going to change a few things, which is obvious. We're going from 11-man to 8-man, so then things are going to be certain changes. And anytime you get a new head coach, there's a little different philosophy and thinking.
With being in how large a district you are in, how do you feel? Who do you feel like will be your toughest team to play?
Yeah, we are. We're one of I think only 2 8-man districts that have 7 teams in it. So we don't get as many non-district games, or kind of, I don't want to say this the wrong way, all games count, but kind of the warm-up games to the ones that count towards going to the playoffs. So our district is pretty loaded. If I had to just pick a team right now off of who they have back, how they finished last year and stuff, I would say Burlingame's probably the toughest team in our district. They lost in the second round to the eventual state runner-up in Hanover. I think it was about a 2-touchdown game. And they returned several guys, but they lost some guys too. Rural Vista and Center were both playoff teams last year. That lost to some Twin Valley League teams. And then you've got some unknowns. Harrington's dropping down from 11-man. They've struggled, but sometimes that change of scenery will really change that. Don't know a whole lot about them. Valley Falls is another team like us that's dropping from 11 to 8. I think they're going to struggle with numbers from what I hear. Clifton Clyde's a team that is finally getting some younger classmen up to that older group. So I think they'll be much improved over, 2 and 3 win seasons, I think, the last couple of years. So, it's a tough district, and there's no easy outs in that district we're in this year.
So what do you think your biggest obstacle will be?
Once again, finding a footing, I think, will be a big thing. 8-man's new to us. It's not, it's football. It is, but there's different things. I've played and coached both, and the speed of the 8-man game is a little faster. It's a little more wide open. It's played in more space necessarily than the 11-man. So there are little things we'll take. Hopefully, we've made the transition pretty well in practice, and I think we're getting there. Obviously, as a coach, you're never going to be completely happy with everything you do. But we're getting there. So I think just adjusting to the game, and then figuring out from a coach's standpoint, them young guys that are able to come up and help us now. Because we do need 3 or 4 of them young guys, or freshmen, sophomores, when I say young guys, to step in and take a role of some sort on the team. And it will take getting into a game or two before we kind of figure out who that is. sometimes a guy will look really good in practice and they get to that game and it just a bigger stage and things don't quite click.
So you said the transition during practice was going good. Do you feel like it'll go good the rest of the year?
I'd like to hope so. I really do. I think we have a pretty solid 8-man team with the guys we have. You know, 8-man is a sport it's near and dear to my heart. I grew up playing it in high school. I coached it before I got here at Ashland, and so it's a game I understand. I believe I understand anyways. And I think we've got the makings to be a good, solid team that has the potential to be a playoff team if everything works out. Obviously, we haven't played any games, so we'll see after Friday night we go up to Frankfurt how that goes. You know, Frankfurt's a team that returns several key guys from their team last year, but lost some guys. So it'll be a good challenge in week 1, and it's kind of fun to get back a rivalry that kind of disappeared when they made the jump from 11 to 8 a few years back.
All right. Well, thank you for your time and good luck this year.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon, for that interview, and good luck to all of the teams and the coaches this season. This concludes our fall sports preview. Stay tuned for more interviews and broadcasts.